Welcome back to Mastering Google Ads. We are now in module 4, and this is where we're going to get really practical around about writing your ads and creating your ad assets. Now, this is a really important part of Google Ads. And the reason for why I want to stress how important it is because for successful Google Ads campaigns, you don't only need the right targeting, so you need to be targeting the right keywords, targeting relevant audiences, but you also need highly relevant ad copy. Because if you don't have ad copy that is appealing, if you have ad copy which just this is the same as everyone else's, no one is going to click on your ad. And if you don't get the click, you then can't get them to go to your website to complete the sales process. And that is why your ad copy is so important. So what we're going to be doing in this one is I'm really going to be focusing on some of the tactics and strategies that I've used for success with my ads. So this is the theory lesson. When it comes to actually setting up your ads, we'll cover that when we go through the setting up your campaign lessons. So this one's just about how to craft ad copy, which is not only going to get clicks, but is also going to help you with the whole conversion process. All right. And the biggest thing I want you to really focus on is that you need to get creative with your ad copy. But before we get into the process of creating ad copy, I want to firstly break down how the ads actually look inside of Google search, and we'll also cover how it looks in display and also in YouTube. And this will really help set up the whole lesson. So the first thing I just want to show you in through here is that when we talk about our ad headlines, they're the bold text which is in blue. So that's your ad headlines. Whenever you hear me talk about headlines, your ads can show up to 3 headlines, and it's that bold blue text at the top of the ad. Then when we talk about descriptions, that's the text which is below the headlines. Now, the big thing that I really stress right from the start is that we're going to be putting the majority of our attention and focus into our headlines. And because what I say is that if you don't get your headlines right, no one will read your descriptions. So really focus on your headlines. Then when we've got what's called our display URL, that's the little section that you can add on to the URL. And it's really important to note that that is the display URL. It doesn't have to be an actual URL. So you can put in there that this is a sale or other information in there. Then you've got some other aspects which are called ad assets. And these are other things that appear in and around your ads. So there's firstly the site links, and these are how it shows on your mobile and also on your desktop ads. And the site links are where you can take people to other parts of your website. So, for this one where we're advertising our villas, you can also take them through to your 1-bedroom villas or 2-bedroom villas. We've also got options to take them through to our photo gallery or any sales that we have. And then you can also have other extensions like call extensions. Now, we'll go through all of the different types of extensions, but there's a lot of other extensions that you can use, including callouts and price extensions. But the main thing I just want you to understand at the moment is that it's not just your ad, it's also additional ad assets which you can add to your ads. So that's what it looks like in the search ads. For display and YouTube, and this is going to be for Performance Max and display campaigns, this is how your ads look on the display network and also YouTube, with YouTube being over here and display being on these parts. The one thing I do want to stress here, for YouTube, this is image-based ads. So you can also have video ads in YouTube, which will show on the next page, but this is image-based ads that appear on YouTube. And then you can also show you how your ads look on display in YouTube. And this is for demand gen. So this is actually video-based ads. So what you've got through here, these are actually video ads that appear in YouTube, and these are once again your image-based ads. So now that you know what the ads look like, let's now talk about the character limits. So you do need to know that your ad copy for Google Ads is short form, and it is limited by the number of characters that you can use. And these limits are the same for small companies and large companies. Every company has the same limits. And these limits cover your headlines, your descriptions, your long headlines, display URLs, and your call to actions. Now, if you don't understand where some of these are, as we go through, I'll explain what your call to actions are and what your long headlines are. And the other thing I do want to note is that these limits are for what the users see. So when we talk about search, the users will only see up to 3 headlines, but you can add 15 different headlines. For descriptions, they only see 2, but you can add up to 4. So I just want to really highlight that this is what our user sees. So for search headlines, they can have 3 30-character headlines, 2 90-character descriptions, and 2 15-character URLs or display URLs. For Performance Max, because Performance Max shows ads across search, display, and YouTube, you've got all of the different options. So once again, the headlines are the same, The descriptions are the same, but you can also add a 60-character long headline, and you can also add in some call to actions, like, you may have seen an ad that says learn more or shop now. That's a call to action. There's all the limits for display, video, and demand gen. Look, you can go through and read all of those and check them all, but I just wanted to break out and give you the overview of the character limits for each type of campaign. Now I want to talk about some different editorial issues, because it's important to note that some products and services are limited or restricted for advertising on Google, and all the items on this list are not fully restricted, and in some cases like healthcare and medicines, you'll need to apply for permission to advertise for Google. And also as well, I do need to stress that you need to refer to your Google advertising policies to find the exact restrictions for your region, because this is different depending on different parts of the world where you're advertising. So we'll just go through these. Obviously, things with sexual content, alcohol, there's different copyrights and trademarks, gambling, healthcare and medicines, political content, and different financial products. So this is going to be different depending on where you're advertising. It's just mindful to be aware that there are some services and products which do have limitations for their advertising on Google. The other thing is as well, there are also editorial policies that you need to be aware of when writing your ad copy. And the reason for this is the goal for Google here is that they want all ads to be clear and professional in appearance, and they take users to content that is relevant, useful, and easy to interact with. So the restrictions we're talking about here is that Google doesn't like overly generic ads that mainly contain phrases like buy products here. You can't use any gimmicky use of capitals or words or letters or symbols like free. So you can't capitalize a whole word. I know you can do that on platforms like Meta. You can't do it in Google. The URL also needs to be live and can't be coming soon or redirected. So when you nominate a URL for an ad, the user has to be able to finish the sale or complete the process on that URL. You can't redirect them over to another website. And also, so you can't use special characters like exclamation mark and question marks. You can get away with them sometimes in your descriptions, but you can't do it in your headlines. You can sometimes get away with the question mark in your headline. You can't do an exclamation mark. So that's why I just give a warning that special characters, you just need to be careful with them because they are restricted. Now, one thing I do just want to show that we did mention about you need to make sure that the website is working. You don't have any paid loading issues, and it can't have any what Google calls malicious software. But what I just want to show you is what happens if your ad is disapproved. And the good thing with Google is that you will actually get in the status column a reason for why your ad was disapproved. You can see in this one, this was malicious software, which basically means that Google has picked up some level of code that they don't like on the website. And what you can do is that you can just edit the ad. And then once you edit the ad and save the ad, it automatically goes for another review. So if you ever get an ad disapproved, what I do recommend is that you click on the warning, go through and read the policy, try and find the reason for why your ad has been disapproved, make the edits, and then resubmit it. And then once you edit that ad and make the changes, it'll automatically go for review. One thing I do want to talk about, and this is capitalizing. If you capitalize the first letter of every word within your ads, it's a great way to help your ads stand out without violating Google Ads or AdWords policies on capitalization. WordStream have conducted studies into the effects of using title case on click-through ratio, and they found that ad copy with the title case outperformed sentence case. So what we mean by that is writing a headline like book your appointment now. If you write it in this way, book your appointment now, it generally leads to higher click-through ratios. So as a general rule, we will always recommend with your ad copy, especially your headlines, that you use what's called title case, where you capitalize the first letter of every word. Let's now talk about what to include in your headlines and descriptions. So with your headlines, remember what I said before, if people don't read your headlines, they're not going to read your description. So your headlines are the main focus and you need to grab the searcher's attention. Just look at this example from here. If you were to do a quick look at that page, the things that stick out straight away is that blue bold text, the headlines of the ad. So remember, you only have a couple of seconds to grab someone's attention, and your headlines are bold and blue, so they stand out more than the descriptions. And as I said, if your headlines don't grab their attention, they won't read your description. So that's why I spend a lot of time and a lot of focus on my headlines, because people are attuned to really see the blue and look out on the Google search. So you've really got to spend some time on your headlines. Now let's talk about what your headlines need to include. So your headlines should include four main things. Firstly, a keyword focus. Now this helps to improve your click-through ratio as people see what they are searching. Now remember from the first module that Google also includes keyword focus into the ad quality score, so it helps with your ad rank. The way that I want you to think about about this is if you were doing a search for air conditioning installation and then you saw an ad which said air conditioning installation, automatically it's giving you that confidence that this ad is relevant to what I've searched. So it's all about having that relevancy. The other thing I do recommend with ads is that you have a brand mention. For me, this is a no-brainer. You're paying for the ad, so don't waste the opportunity to get your brand name in front of people. Then it also needs to have a strong call to action, or a CTA. And this is all about what do you want them to do and what benefit will they get. A strong call to action, I like to think of it that it's actually priming the user to know what you want them to do on the next step. The reason why people don't get conversions is because they're making it too hard. You really want to lay this out. So you want to let people know what is the next step. So you're kind of pre-queuing them. You're going to go to this website, you're going to see a sale, or you're going to fill out a form, or you're going to find a phone number so you can give us a call. You're pre-queuing saying, this is what I want you to do once you click on the ad. And then I want to just take you through this last one. And this is probably the one that's most underused. A lot of people get the keyword focus, they even get the brand mention, and they get some call to actions. Where people fall down with their ad copy is they don't use emotional triggers. And what we're talking about here is how can you build curiosity, amusement, laughter, sadness, or fear or anger. Remember how your ads look, especially on the search network. You can't change the font size. You can't change the font color. You can't change anything about the locked in font. So all you've got is you've got to really be clever with your ad copy to try and get your ads to stand out and really help people to go, look, why do I need to click on this ad? So the way that I break this down is that Google likes your keyword focus. Whereas users like a strong call to action. Remember what I said, what do you want them to do today and what benefit will they get? So you're basically giving them a reason. Why should they click on your ad? And then also using emotional triggers around that curiosity, amusement, laughter. Always remember, this is the goal of ad copy. The goal of your ad copy is to grab the user's attention so they are compelled to click on your ad while also preparing them for what you want them to do when they get to your website. So it's two parts you're wanting them to do here. Firstly, you want to grab their attention, but then you also want to pre-queue them and let them know about what you want them to do when they get to your website. So I want to talk about some of my best performing ads. And this is the way that I have been able to see success and higher click-through ratios and conversion rates. So I have these two core guiding principles for my ads. I want to be able to say things my competitors cannot say. And I also want to avoid generic terms like we are number one or save now. And you want to instead use real dollar or percentage values. Let me give you an example. So this user, and we were working with them, and they just had, save on our foot pain assessment. We work with them. We go, well, what's going to look better? You just saying that they're going to save money, or you telling them how much they're going to save, 65% off, and that they can get a foot assessment for only $40. The other benefit of adding dollar values to your ads are it helps to pre-qualify your conversion. So let's just say you're offering a service or you've got a product and there are cheaper variations of your services or products. So let's just say you're offering a service, it's $199, and you know there are other services which are cheaper than that, $49 or $99. By putting in prices starting from $199, you're helping the sales process. Yes, you may get a couple of less clicks, but you're not going to get low quality inquiries because you already pre-queued the person and let them know that, your services start from $199 or whatever the price is. So that's the value of putting in real percentage or dollar values, but also as well say things that your competitors can't say or that they won't say. Let me give you some extra examples. Here are three of my historically best performing ads. And this top one, this line of, can I skinny dip on my holiday? So what happened there was we were really struggling to get a foothold into this market because everyone was basically saying 1-bedroom semi villa, private pool, swim in your own private pool. And what we thought is, how can we say the same thing, but in a different way that is going to generate some extra curiosity? And that's why we changed it to skinny dip in your own pool. So we're saying the same thing. We're saying private pool villas, but the way that we're saying it has got a bit of intrigue, a bit of mystery, a bit of curiosity, a bit of humor in it. Some other ads that we had was, we had a keyword focus and we really pulled on removing fear with the guarantee. So it was guaranteed best price. Another way that we did it as a strong call to action was that they would save 45%. So there's different ways of achieving the same result, but what you're wanting to do is you're really wanting to give the user a reason to click on your ad. One of the things that I do also recommend when it comes to writing your ad copy, what I recommend is to also go and do a Google search of your top related keywords and have a look at what your competitors are saying and what they're using in their ad copy, and then do something different. So don't copy them, do something different, because quite often you will find that many businesses, their ad copy just seems the same as everyone else's. And, going back to that first example of skinny dipping your own pool, we looked at, everyone was saying private pool villas, and we thought, how can we say the same thing in a different way? Let's now talk about descriptions. So your descriptions are your opportunity to expand on your product or your service information, but remembering they're not going to read that expanded product or service information if you don't first catch them with your headlines. It also gives extra information about what they need to know to help them click on your ad. But with your descriptions, remember to stay on topic with the keyword theme for your quality score. So for descriptions, you do want to have some extra information. So you can see through here, we've got some extra information like set in the heart of Seminyak. It's giving some information about our location. We're letting them know that we're an award-winning villa, and we're letting them know that we've got butlers and personal service, but it's still all related to their core theme of Seminyak Villas. So it's all related, but it's extra information. When it comes to display paths, they have two main functions. They allow for extra keyword focus and targeting, and they can also act as a call to action. When you do this in the right way, you can see from here, we put up here that there's a Seminyak Villas sale. So we use that as a call to action by letting them know that there's a sale on right now. Another way that we did this is that we did, book direct best price. So once again, just a way that we were acting as a call to action. When it comes to your ad copy, and this is for search campaigns, there are three types of ads that we can use in search campaigns. It's what you call your responsive search ads. And this is where you can have one URL, 3 to 15 headlines. Remembering you can add 3 to 15 headlines. The user will still only see 2 or 3 headlines. You can add up to 4 descriptions. The user will only see 2. The 2 display paths, and your assets are shown in any order. So you need to make sure they make sense. Now, as we go through and discuss this, you will see that you can pin in those headlines. As you said here, you can pin in headlines that you need to show, but Google displays them in different orders for split testing. So you don't have full control over how they all show, but as I said, you can pin in the different headlines. For call ads, this is where you've got ads which are generally on the mobile network, and they're all about generating a phone call. If you've ever seen an ad and you click on the ad and it pulls it straight up to, do you want to call their phone number? That's a call ad. So it's one final URL, 2 headlines, 2 descriptions, 2 display paths. You do need to include your business name and your business phone number, and then a verification URL. And the verification URL, it's a URL that you add to your ad. The user doesn't see it, but the phone number which you are advertising needs to be on that URL. So it's just letting Google know that this phone number is related to the business that you're advertising. And this is something that would be used for service providers, so plumbers, physiotherapists, those type of things. And it does need to be in a call-only ad group. And then the last type of ad in a search campaign is your dynamic ads. And this is different because it's targeted by the URLs that you choose. The headlines are actually dynamically created, so you cannot add in any headlines. You only get to add in 2 descriptions. And once again, it needs to be in a separate ad group, and your URL needs to have relevant content, because once again, your keyword targeting is done automatically by Google. And this is used for businesses that have a lot of different service offerings. So I've seen it before where you might have some different e-commerce brands or services. They might have 3 or 4 or 5 different products or services that they really want to market, and they've got individualized campaigns. And then they might have sometimes hundreds or sometimes even thousands of different products or services. And this is where a dynamic campaign can be really beneficial, because you can just add the URL, add in some headlines, and then you can get to see the data. And then from there, if you wanted to, then you can pull out some different service or keyword themes that you can build into your own ad groups. Now, for all of these type of campaigns or all of these type of ads, when we get into setting up the campaigns, I am going to be taking you through how to set up call-only campaigns and dynamic search campaigns. So we'll discuss this further there. But right now, that's all you need to know of the different types of ads for search campaigns. Now, the main type of ad that you will use in search campaigns are what we call responsive search ads, or the RSAs. Now, when it comes to my recommendations for responsive search ads, you saw on the previous screen that Google does its own split testing, and you can add up to 15 headlines and then it'll jumble them all through to find the best data. However, I recommend that you run 2 separate ads per ad group. And the way that we would start this is it would have one responsive ad to be as flexible as possible, no headlines or descriptions pinned in. And then you have one responsive ad with one main difference to the first ad. So when it comes to this, the reason for why I'm recommending 2 ads per ad group is that this allows you to complete split testing on what ad copy is getting higher click-through ratio or conversion rates, and what we've found is that if you have any more than 2 ads, my experience is that Google will not show the 3rd or 4th ads as much as the first 2. So you want to be doing split testing. You want to have 2 ads. Don't split test 3 or 4 ads at the same time, because as I said, very soon you'll see that the 3rd and 4th ad just don't get any traffic, and it kind of sways the results. So this comes to the question of, why do you use split test? Now, sometimes you might get an ad with a high click-through ratio but lower conversion rates. So what you can do from there is you can then take the elements for an ad with a high click-through ratio to see if you can also increase the conversion rate. People say, why do we still do split testing, and why not just leave it to Google? Because Google is using responsive ads, meaning that they provide you up to 15 headlines for descriptions, which Google will test to show the best combinations. However, I still recommend to manually split test ads. And the reason for this is that it takes somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 impressions in a 30-day period for Google to complete proper split testing. So unless you're running a very large budget, it would take too long and cost too much money for Google to work out the best combinations. So completing manual split testing still gives you the best results, even in the world of AI and automation. I just want to drill down on this a little bit further. So Google last reported in 2022 that they needed 2,000 to 3,000 impressions per month per ad in order to complete proper split testing. So Google has not recently shared an update for the number of impressions that are required per month, which is why, as I said, I still strongly recommend a manual split testing process. I know I spent a couple of pages on this, but I do just really want to reinforce that Google will say that you only need 1 ad, but we're still seeing very, very strong data that split testing will give you better results for your campaign. So right now I want to take you through the split testing process for search campaigns. And as we said, this is where you run 2 different responsive search ads at the same time, where you're only testing one main difference. Now, the reason for why you only want to be testing one thing at a time is so that you can get clean results and you know what was the determining factor for the better performance. So if you've got 1 ad and then you test another ad and it's got like 2 or 3 things that are different, you don't really know what caused the higher click-through ratio or the higher conversion rate. And these are the tests that you can run. Do your ads perform better with dynamic keyword insertion pinned into headline position 1? You could do another test, which is what is the best call to action? And does this call to action work better in position 2 or 3? Do your ads perform better with 1 or 2 headlines pinned in or with no headlines pinned in? And what is the best landing page? So some people forget that you can run a split test that has the exact same ads, but just going to different landing pages. So when we're talking about the actual process, so an example split testing process for search campaigns would be that you have 2 ads. 1 ad has no pinned in headlines. The other ad is exactly the same, except it's got dynamic keyword insertion pinned into headline 1. You then wait 30 days or at least 500 impressions per ad. And then you review the test results, choosing the ad with the best click-through ratio or conversion metrics. So that could be your conversion rate or your cost per conversion, your ROAS score, whatever you're testing. And then from there, you decide, let's just say that ad 2 was the better. So it performed better with dynamic keyword insertion pinned into headline 1. You would pause ad 1 and start a new ad with dynamic keyword insertion pinned into headline 1 and a call to action pinned into headline 2. But let's just say that the ad 1 was the winning test. So it worked out that it performs better with no headlines pinned at all. My ad 3, so my new split test would be I'd pause ad 2 and then set up a new ad with a call to action pinned into headline 2. So this is where it's really dependent on the results, but that's the process that you want to be going through. And then you're repeating the process every 30 days or 500 impressions. So now let's look at some advanced ad copy headlines. So there are 3 different headline functions that you can use in your responsive search ads. And I do need to point out that what I'm about to share here can only be used in responsive search ads. And these are dynamic keyword insertion or DKI, location insertion, and also countdown timers. So dynamic keyword insertion is an advanced feature that helps you provide more relevant ad text in a single ad, as the ad headline is updated to include the keyword that triggered the ad. So once again, when we building on from our keyword research module where I was talking about we want to add in extra exact match keywords, this is the benefit, because it doesn't trigger what the user searched, it triggers the keyword that triggered the ad. So that's why you want to have more keywords and more exact match keywords in your ad groups. So to activate this feature, you need to type in a squiggly bracket or the brace in the headline. And the benefits of this is that when a customer uses one of your keywords in their search, Google automatically replaces the code that you've got in there with the keyword that triggered your ad, meaning your ad appears differently to different customers depending on the search terms that they used. So in this case, for this ad, if we had some keywords that were targeting 1-bedroom semi-yacht pool villas or 1-bedroom semi-yacht villa, if the user searched 1-bedroom semi-yacht villa, that keyword would be inserted. But if they search 1-bedroom semi-yacht pool villa, that is the headline that they would search. So it brings it back to relevancy. And remember, as we've been saying, success with Google Ads, the higher the relevant the ad, you're already a long way down the track for success with Google Ads. So that's dynamic keyword insertion. Keyword insertion is especially useful for different suburb or city names. So if you offer a service for different cities, you can use the keyword insertion code of keyword skip bin higher. So what would happen if the user searched Brisbane skip bin higher, the user would actually see Brisbane skip bin higher. Whereas if they searched North Lake skip bin higher, they would see in the headline North Lake skip bin higher or North Brisbane. So as long as you've got these keywords in here targeted in your campaign, they're going to be seeing those headlines in your ad copy. Location insertion. Now this lets you tailor your ad headline to the user's location or their search interest. Once again, to activate this feature, you type in the brace, and the benefits of this is that location insertion highlights a location in the ad text where your product or service is offered. For example, you can create headlines like Brisbane hotels, Sydney hotels to customize your ads to your user's location. So let's just look at this example in here. So location insertion is very similar to keyword insertion, but the difference is that it will change the search term based on the customer's location. And this is something that's really good for national or international campaigns. So let's just say that the user location for luxury hotels, but they were searching from Brisbane, they would see Brisbane luxury hotels. They're searching from New York or searching about New York, they would see New York luxury hotels or Auckland luxury hotels. So it's the same keyword, so luxury hotels, but what's different is the location targeting. And finally, countdown timer. And this allows you to alert potential customers about upcoming or current sales or promotions. Once again, the way that you activate this, you type the brace into the headline and then you select countdown timer. And what this also allows you to do, you can add in some pre or post text to highlight when your sale or offer begins or ends. So you can see from here, we added in this extra text of be quick, sale ends, and then the countdown timer effect. When the ad was actually shown, you can see here that actually says be quick, sales ends in 4 days. And what would happen is if they would do that same search tomorrow, they would see sale ends in 3 days. And then in the last 24 hours, it switches over from days to 12 hours. So if there was 12 hours to go, it would say be quick, sale ends in 12 hours. So the countdown timer is great for e-commerce or for a business who runs sales or promotions, a new product launch, or a time-sensitive offer. Okay, let's talk about your ads in Performance Max. So Performance Max refers to your headlines and descriptions as ad assets. And this is where you can enter in your URL, where you want to target your headlines, your long headlines, your descriptions, your different images and videos for your ads. And so as you can see, when we go through the ad creation process, which I'll take you through in the Performance Max campaign setup guide, it's just a matter of adding in all of these different URLs, adding the images to display for your display ads, your videos for video ads, your headlines for search ads, long headlines for display and video ads. So when we mentioned before, what's the difference between a headline and a long headline? Your long headline is only for display and video ads, whereas your descriptions are for your search ads. And then you can also add in those call to actions, which can be automated or you can lock them in. Now, when it comes to your split testing for your Performance Max, it's different because you cannot run 2 ads at the same time in the same ad asset group. So instead of this, Google gives you a score for each ad asset of low, good, or best. So the way that you would go through and do this is whenever you see any performance markers with a low, we would go through and edit these. So what would happen from here is because these 2 are good and best, we would keep them. But because this headline in here has a low score, we would update that low score headline. So the split testing process for Performance Max campaign is you create your initial ad assets. You wait until Google gives you a low, good, or best score. You then replace any low performing ad assets with a new version. Wait again until Google gives you the low, good, or best score, and then you repeat this process. I say every 30 days, but it really depends on how much you're spending, because sometimes you can get these low, good, or best scores within 14 days. So that's the way that you go through and do your split testing for Performance Max campaigns. When it comes to Performance Max campaigns, I do recommend that you create your ad copy in a Google Sheets first. And what you can do is you can actually download this template in the course notes. And the reason for why I recommend it is it allows me to see any messaging and make sure that I'm really covering off all the different keyword focuses. I've just found it a better way to write out my ads to make sure that I've got a keyword focus, I've got an emotional trigger, and I can also then plan out all of my ads for my different ad groups. The other reason is that by updating this ad copy sheet with new headlines and descriptions, you always have a record of the different versions of headlines and descriptions that you have used. So especially with Performance Max, where we're only getting that good, low, and best score, we can add into that spreadsheet and say, look, this one got a low score, so we don't need to test test this headline or this image again. All right, now let's go through your ads in display and demand gen. Pretty much the same process as a Performance Max. So you add your YouTube video that you want to target. When it comes to video ads, it is important to note that you're not uploading these. These need to be posted on YouTube first. Then you add in your landing page URL, your call to action, your headlines, you add in your long headlines, your descriptions, and then your ad name. Having an ad name as well helps with your testing, so you know whether you've tested that ad, or sometimes I'll write a different benefit or a different ad focus. And for your video campaigns, it's pretty much the same process. The only difference is there's not the option for images because it's just video ads. When it comes to split testing your video ads, now, so for your display, video, or demand gen campaigns that are using video ads, it is still recommended to complete split testing, with the most important metrics being your view rate, your conversion rate, and your cost per conversion rate. Now, let me explain that. When it comes to your view rate, Google gives you this data, and it's all about what the percentage of ad was played. So was the ad played to 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100%? So what you can see through here is you can see that these top two ads here, they had a much better play rate all the way through to 100% of the ad. Now, obviously this makes sense because we know that if we've got an ad that is played to 100%, we know that's more engaging. So that's a really great way of going through and doing a split test on your ads. So you're not only looking at the conversion rate and the number of conversions, also look at that video played rates, because as you can see through here, when we put this data together, you can see that this top ad, although the video play rate, it was the second best at 11%, this one was at 13%, this one was much better at actually generating conversions. So that's where you can sort of pull up the different metrics together. So when it comes to your video campaigns, look at your view rates, your conversion rates, and your cost per conversions. Once again, when we get to the optimization process, I'll break this down in further metrics and really show you how to use all this data. But now I want to move over to ad extensions. So it's not just about your ads. Your ad extensions are extra elements that you can add to your ad. So remember when we first started, we said, you've got your site links, your call extensions. There's also things like callouts. But let's just talk about why you should be using ad extensions. And ad extensions are beneficial because they provide additional information about your product or service. They let people take action directly from your search results. For example, they can call or click for different addresses or directions. If you've got a call only ad, they can actually call your business without even going to your website. But a really big reason is that extensions give your ads more prominence, leading to higher click-through ratio and more clicks. Remember as well, where we said at the start of this course about how your ads get an ad rank. By adding extensions, this does help increase your ad rank. Ad extensions also help to make your ad more appealing, often at a lower cost. And this is a big one, is that they actually take up more screen real estate. And what I mean by that is, especially on mobile searches, if you've got an ad which has site links and call out extensions and price extensions and all of these things, you can sometimes take over 50% of the screen real estate. So 50% of what the user is seeing at the top of the screen can be your ad. So it is a really highly benefit to add to your ad repertoire. All right, let's go through the different types of ad extensions that you can use. So I'm going to roll through these quite quickly because we're going to be giving you some visual examples. So your site links. So these are the additional links under the main text where you can direct users to other pages on your website. So they appear underneath there. Kind of think of it like a directory. Your call out extensions is the text describing the most exciting or valuable qualities of your businesses, products, or services. So these are things which are true for any type of business. So what you want to do here is you want to highlight things that are true for any type of product or any type of service on your business. So for this one, we spoke about our free airport transfers. If you're an e-commerce brand and you offer free shipping, or if you offer free shipping for over $50 or whatever the price point is, you can add that as a call out extension. A structured snippet extension. This communicates specific types of product categories, your destinations, or your locations. So you can see through here for this e-commerce brand, they had three different types of, or three different styles of baby earmuffs. So that's why they call them out: audio headphones, baby earmuffs, kid earmuffs. If you're an electrician, you might be able to put out there that you offer appliance installations, air conditioning, and general repairs. Call extensions. This is where you display your phone number, which allows users to click and call your ad immediately. This is best suited for service industries, and this is where they actually see your phone number in the ad. On a mobile version, if they were to click this button in here, it would actually take them directly to a phone call, so they wouldn't even go to your website. Lead form extension, they allow users to fill out a contact form without even visiting your website. So this is where you can even offer a sign up to a newsletter or a sign up for an inquiry. Location extensions adds your business address, phone number, and map under the ad text. And this is great for businesses that have a physical store or multiple physical stores or showrooms. Affiliate location extensions allows for you to direct users to other affiliate locations that are authorized to sell your product. So let's just say we've done this before where we had a business that was marketing their baby formula, but they didn't have any shops. It was being sold through Coles, which is kind of like a Walmart. So you can have the locations where they can buy your products. Price extensions allows you to highlight certain products along with their prices. Obviously, this is great for e-commerce sites. So if you're running e-commerce sales on the sales network, you can actually put prices there. And if they were to click on one of these individual product price cards, it would take them directly through to the individual product page. App extensions, this one obviously makes sense. If your business has got an app, you can put a download their app right now extension. Promotion extension allows you to highlight a deal or promotion, including dates and promo codes. So if you've got Black Friday coming up, you can go through and add in that promotion extension. Image extensions. Now, this allows you to show a product image that brings a visual element to ad. The one thing I will note here is that for your image extension, it can't have any ad copy on it, can't have any text on it, including your brand. So you can't actually have your logo. So it needs to be a generic product photo or like a shop front photo. Site link extensions. And then what we've got through here, I'm not going to go through all of these. I just included this so that you can download this and so that you know all of the different types of ad extensions that you can be using in your campaigns. All right, so that's what we went through with your ad copy. The main thing I really want you to take away from this lesson is that when you're writing your ad copy or creating your ads, if you can just remember this, is that you want your ads to say something that other people can't say or are not saying. It's all about making sure that your ads are different and that they stand out so that you can entice that click. And then secondly, also really communicating with them what is the next step, how are you going to take them to that next part of the conversion process. And speaking of conversion process, what we're going to be doing now is the next lesson, we're going to be moving over to how you can create the best high converting landing pages, because great ad copy is one part of the solution. You also need to send them to landing pages which are going to convert for your business.